Hello everyone and welcome back to Brotato. I am Duke Silver and today we're going to be checking out the streamer for this Danger 5 run. So as you can see, all these potatoes are done on Danger 5, but yeah, we're going to be checking out the streamer. So the streamer has a lot of text here. It's got a lot of abilities. It's one of the newer potatoes, I think released in the latest update. I think that was back in December. So 3% of your materials with a cap of 25 per second. You get 3% of your materials per second while standing still with a cap of 25. So you get 40% damage while percentage damage while moving, 40% attack speed while moving. So it's kind of like speedy in the fact that you get extra stats while you're moving. You get +2 armor for every structure. So like every turret you buy is going to add 2 armor, which makes this potato very inclined to go into engineering, as of course you're going to be picking up structures anyways. I mean, I pick up turrets anyhow with streamer just because like the added benefit, even without any engineering, of the turrets on the map is it's not super significant later in the run, but the amount of the 2 armor you get is definitely worth it, as you pay like a relatively comparable price for that amount of armor for items that have downside, whereas turrets just have no real downside. So you get negative 50% materials dropped, which makes sense since a lot of your income comes from just standing still and trying to accrue materials that way. You get negative 1% damage for every 15 materials you have, and you get negative 1% speed for every 30 materials you have. So yeah, you can become over encumbered with your own materials. So it's definitely kind of an interesting balance to strike. Like you definitely don't, it's not like super abusable because they have that plus 25 materials per second cap, which I believe they implemented after this was released and people were abusing it a little bit too hard. But yeah, so yeah, we want to try and strike a balance where we're getting like a decent income without over encumbering ourselves with too many materials, because then that'll reduce our damage down super low. Although like if you're going engineering, the percentage damage doesn't really matter, but the speed does matter. Losing a ton of speed means you have a harder time dodging like the charging enemies, and even with a bunch of armor, like you can still take a lot of damage from them. So this one took me quite a few runs to get done. I was just trying to do engineering for a while, but it wasn't quite getting there, so I decided to take a crack at it with slingshot, and yeah, it was the slingshot run that actually got there. I mean, I think that's just because slingshot is very good, and again, like this character just has like bonus damage while you're moving, so you can go from like income mode into damage mode like instantaneously, and then like you turn into a DPS from an econ character into a DPS character, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we're gonna go slingshot, and it's gonna be a Danger 5 run, of course. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna be standing still for as long as possible, of course, as that's how we're gonna make most of our income. Again, we are going to have to spend most of it, though. It's unfortunately the whole income generation isn't quite abusable. So we're just, for the first few waves, of course, just like most potatoes, we're going to be just aggressively rolling for weapons. We'll lock any like really interesting items, but we'll lock it until after wave 3 is done. And yeah, you're able to lock early in the waves just because like you're still guaranteed to see 2 weapons even if you have an item locked, so it doesn't actually like gum up your shop as much as it would normally. And I have kind of changed the format a little bit. I've sped up the combats, the waves, I guess, and kept the shops a little bit slower, just so I can maybe try and mention more things that I'm buying. Didn't mention anything there because I just bought. I'm just buying slingshots again for these first couple waves. After this wave, we'll start picking up other things. All right, there's some dodge, but we're just going to take a roll there. We take some range damage for our slingshots, of course, because of course we want to stack up range damage. Slingshots scale on 80% range, so they have a really good yield for range damage. We're going to lock this early rocket launcher, which is fantastic. And then we take a roll just to lower our materials and see if we can lock something there. As again, the lower the materials we have, the higher damage we do. We get the increase in damage when we start moving, but we also again lose damage for every 15 materials we have. So So that's something that we need to balance to be able to deal damage as well as gain materials here. All right, we take some luck there, hoping to find something good. We locked a coupon in an ugly tooth, which we are going to take. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get enough materials to buy that rocket launcher quite yet, so we're just going to keep it locked. But the ugly tooth is going to go a long way here. With all these bouncing projectiles with our slingshots, we're going to be able to slow most everything that comes near us. As you can see, slingshot is just a very, very strong weapon. The wave clear as well as the damage just like are both significant. So I feel like slingshot is one of the better weapons in the game if you're looking to just finish runs. We're going to take the rocket launcher here. There's another slingshot in the shop, which we are going to lock. We are also going to lock this turret because, of course, it's just 2 armor plus a random turret, and that extra damage does sort of add up once you start adding multiple turrets. Even if we don't end up with any significant amount of engineering, which we might take a couple engineering later on, but we don't necessarily need it. And I think the turret is still worth a buy there just for the 2 armor. Yeah, now around wave 6 is when it starts to get harder to stand still. Like we have to have significant damage to be able to stand still, so we're going to be trying to focus on that while also kind of balancing our defensive stats. As I mean, standing still means we need to get some defense because we're going to get it run into, right? A lot of enemies that can close distances real easy, or be able to just shoot projectiles at us. And yeah, you can see we're taking down these large enemies like relatively easily. Even while standing still, we're doing okay damage. And then when we start moving, we do real damage, and we start clearing enemies really fast there. So again, this is a very interesting, very unique potato, where you're basically switching between defensive and offensive modes. Take a bit of percentage damage there just to again increase our damage, and then we add a little bit more luck, hoping to find higher level weapons and structures and whatnot. It's another coupon which we'll pick up. We're gonna of course keep picking up all the slingshots we see. And yeah, range damage, the flat range damage is going to be significant because again we get plus 40% damage while we're moving. So stacking up the flat damage is a little bit more important, as we already have the percentage damage to that we can just turn on when we need to. And with so many different projectiles, just having a high base damage is very, very strong. Found a spot that we can stand still for a little bit there. We leave a little bit of materials on the ground. We're not going to take the hedgehog. There is range damage attached to it, but we didn't want to lose the HP regen. And here I'm looking at the candle. Losing 10% of the enemies on the map makes it significantly easier to stand still. We get a little bit of regen out of it, but we can't really make use of the elemental damage, and we do lose some percentage damage. So it's like I'm really on the fence about it, but ultimately I decide to roll past it here. It takes me a second, but I do it. Okay, and there's a level 3 rocket launcher, which we are absolutely going to snap up here. So this combination of slingshots and rocket launchers is going to be quite potent for especially for this wave. This wave where it's a pseudo horde wave kind of thing. So our wave clear is very, very good, and yeah, you can see we're clearing the wave pretty well even while standing still. So this is going to be a decent income wave for us. I mean, usually it's a decent income wave for every potato, but yeah, I mean, obviously it's still good for us. All right, and you can see we're taking down the enemies, the large enemies, relatively well. We do take a couple hits there, so things get a little bit sketchy at the end, but we eventually manage to survive here. Take a bit of speed. Speed is nice. I mean, we do lose speed for our materials, so like having a way to kind of mitigate that is good. And then some HP regen there is going to be very important. We definitely want this medical turret. That's going to give us a little bit of sustain as well as 2 armor for basically free. And then there's metal, which I think we are going to take. It's just too many different stats to not take. That's going to give us some max HP, percentage damage, and armor. And we lose just a little bit of crit chance, which we're not too worried about, just losing a bit of crit chance. I do like crit chance a lot, but I think metal, it just has too much upside for to really worry about that crit chance. Alright, wave 10, this is where like the difficulty starts to spike. I think waves 1 through 9 are pretty easy, and then wave 10 onwards is when things start to get difficult. As you can see, we're having a hard time standing still for significant periods of time, but we do manage to get some income there, up to 500 materials. We take some range damage there, as we want to just be clearing a little bit better. There's another metal, which we are going to take, again, just all those stats. And here we get a legendary item, which is going to be Regeneration Potion. And yeah, this is going to double your regeneration when you're at less than half health. And it's also going to give you plus 3 HP regeneration. So yeah, that's fantastic. That's an incredible pickup for us. It's possible we should have picked up the duct tape, because we can make use of the armor and the engineering. And now we're kind of doing a damage test to see if we can take out these mummies while standing still, and we can. The extra range we picked up in the last shop really gave us a decent little damage spike. Even with all these materials lowering our percentage damage, we're still clearing relatively well. But I mean, and of course, when we start moving, then you see things just start to get deleted. Yeah, decide we can't stand still for too much longer, so we end up just moving around trying to take some more things. We get a laser turret and a bowler hat. We kind of went past it a little bit fast, but the bowler hat's going to give us some harvesting and luck. The harvesting is probably a little bit late, but the luck is going to help us find some higher level items, of course. And there's some alloy, which we are very interested in. It's going to give us range damage and engineering. We're going to lose some dodge, but we don't have any dodge to begin with now, so like it doesn't actually really affect us too much as long as we don't invest in dodge later. So yeah, I think we're definitely going to be taking this alloy. We can't make use of the melee damage, but that's fine. And we find another level 3 slingshot, which we are going to be able to combine into a level 4 here. I was just debating on whether I want to take it here to drop my materials down, because that does lower our like passive income from standing still, but it also increases our damage. And since we're in a horde wave, I think we want to lower our materials enough to make sure that we're doing a good significant amount of damage and having our wave clear be significant. And I mean, even with significant wave clear, it's pretty tough to stand still in the middle of a horde wave. So we're gonna do our best to get as much income as we can, but we're not gonna take too big of a risk here. We're gonna move around the map as much as we can and just survive this horde wave. And we survive it pretty handily. We don't take too much damage. There's a free lumberjack shirt, which I pretty much always take. We get a couple slingshots here. We didn't get much income because we weren't able to stand still for very long, but we do get to take one roll there with our free roll. And we find another level 3 rocket launcher, which we are going to lock for next turn. And now we're gonna try and stand still a little bit longer in this wave. This is where tentacles start spawning, and they are very tanky. And I mean, they're not that big a threat for you if you're standing still, because they shoot around you. They very much try and like zone control you, so that you're not like moving around or you have a hard time moving past them, as you risk getting hit by their relatively high damage attack on either side. All right, we take a pretty big hit there, a couple of pretty big hits, and then we're at the end of the wave though, so things get a little bit sketchy. We leave a lot of materials on the ground, which is unfortunate. We do get to pick up another turret though, which is going to add some more armor, basically for free. We get to pick up our weapons that we locked from the last wave, and here we go, our first elite fight. So this should be a good test. Like, we definitely aren't going to worry about standing still on these elite fights at all. We're just going to try and go full damage and see if we can knock it down. It's possible that I should have just been like fully in motion there. I was kind of doing a stutter step, which almost counts as standing still. I'm not entirely sure how that works with the passive income, or if we were getting like full value out of it. I know it works like for soldier, but you can stutter step and be attacking at a relatively normal attack speed. So I'm not sure if that works for the income, and we get the elite so close to dead there, but we just miss out. If we had like one more second of sustained damage on it, we would have got there, but unfortunately, just barely not. I'm gonna take a couple rolls on these level ups. I'm just looking for some significant stats, and I think speed is going to be an okay one to invest in here. Again, it mitigates the speed loss from carrying materials. I was gonna lock Tyler there, but I figured the gold investment might not be worth the 2 gold. And turrets, they're not doing a significant amount of damage anymore. I mean, the laser turret might be doing decent damage, but our regular turrets probably aren't contributing too much to our overall wave clear. But I mean, with the 2 armor, it might have been worth it with just for the extra 2 armor and the a little bit of damage that it would contribute as well. As again, the turret's damage, the damage does add up over time with these turrets, but it's kind of, I mean, we're kind of limited on income, so the extra expense is a little hard to justify. There's a leather vest, which we did pick up, which, I mean, it gets our dodge back to 0, but really we just sacrificed some HP for some armor, which might not have been worth it, honestly. The materials may have just been more worth it. We get to pick up a level 2 slingshot there. We've got 3 level 4 slingshots now. Alright, we're going to take the plastic explosive. It's going to basically increase the area of our rocket launcher attacks, which I think is great. And we're just going to run like this with 160 materials. So we start with a relatively decent income here. We start with getting 4 per second, up to 5 pretty quickly there. Again, finding the balance between holding so many materials and being able to do enough damage to clear the waves is a little bit difficult. It's sort of mitigated by going engineering, but also you lose the movement benefit for engineering, because when you start moving, you get 40% percentage damage and 40 attack speed. So those don't affect your structures at all. So I guess it's kind of a give and take with the engineering. I guess they wanted to make it so that you can't just go strictly engineering, and it's not like, doesn't feel like the objectively correct way to go every time. We get a decent little HP upgrade there. We took a lens for some range damage. We lose a little bit of range, but that's okay. And we're gonna take this. We took the engineering book, which just gives us +1 engineering, and the banner just for some attack speed. And then there's a community support, which is going to give us +2 attack speed per enemy, or +1 attack speed per enemy that's active on the map, as well as we take a second lens there for 1 more range damage at the cost of just a little bit of range. So yeah, basically for every enemy active on the map, we're going to be getting a significant amount of attack speed, which is great. That's going to help our wave clear a ton. We do lose 2 armor from community support, but that's okay. We've got a decent amount of incidental armor just from our structures, which is great. We haven't had to invest too many materials into building armor, which has allowed us to focus on damage and kept our wave clear relatively. I mean, I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's like incredible, but I think it's significantly relevant. Does that make sense? It doesn't really make sense. Our wave clear is fine. It's adequate. There we go. We got there. We found a word that works. Adequate. We take a little bit more max HP because I mean, we were kind of squishy, so I think we need to invest in a little bit of HP there. We've got decent regen, only because we have the Ring of Regeneration. We probably could have invested a little bit more into regen. We took another banner there, which is just going to add more attack speed. We're just mostly interested in dealing damage at this point. Again, we've got the incidental armor, and we just really want to keep our wave clear up. And yeah, we got the second elite fight now, and this is one that you definitely cannot stand still for at all. So we're just going to be trying to rotate around and dodge the floor beams and put as much damage onto this elite as possible. Again, we got within like just a hair of killing the other one, and it looks like we're going to be able to get there with this one as we we knock it down with 10 seconds to go and get our legendary crate there. So you can tell our damage is very, very good now. There's a panda, which is going to give us some luck. We're going to lose some percentage damage, but we are going to get some HP out of it, which again I think is important to prioritize. There's another alloy, which I think we are going to take. It's going to be range damage as well as some incidental engineering for us, which make our structures maybe a little bit more relevant. A little bit late for Vigilante Ring, but we are going to lock this this rocket launcher. That's going to replace our level 2 rocket launcher, the only non-legendary weapon that we have here. Alright, in wave 19 is the penultimate wave. So we want to get as much income as we can through this wave, so we can spend all of our materials before the end of the final wave, as we don't need any materials in our pockets for the final wave, just so we have the most damage possible. So we're gonna want to spend every single material we have in the next shop, and even burn all the materials just on rolls, just to keep our damage as high as possible. And yeah, we're doing a decent job of clearing these enemies. We're taking out the large enemies with relative ease. We do have to start moving around though at the end there, but we stood still for a relatively decent amount of time. We pick up a scope, which adds some range damage there for us. And then we're going to get our level 3 rocket launcher, as well as an explosive turret, which adds a couple more armor for us and does a little bit of damage. And I said that we wanted to burn our materials on rolls, and I just failed to do so in the final thing. Just force of habit there. But in general, you want to burn all your materials out once you're on wave 20 here, as it doesn't help you at all. So, and it just hinders your speed and damage. In addition to the materials that you just pick up naturally, which we don't necessarily want to be picking up materials, as it's just gonna hinder us the more we do. But all right, we managed to drop one of the bosses down to half health, so that they take off and start dropping circles on the ground, and then we get to take this other boss one-on-one. I should really either come up with names or learn their names. but yeah, after we take the swinger boss, I want to call it swinger because it swings projectiles around. After we take that one-on-one, we manage to focus damage onto it and take it down there. We don't manage to take down the other boss, but once we're down to one boss, the rest of the fight becomes pretty trivial, and we survive and we get there. Danger 5 done with streamer, with slingshots and rocket launchers. So yeah, that was again, this is a very interesting run. I mean, engineering is a fun way to go as well, but I think obviously you can do it with just your regular range damage weapons. Slingshot, again, I think slingshots are very, very strong, and I think you can do most runs with slingshots just because of the strength of the weapon alone. I mean, rocket launchers help as well. I mean, they're just good for wave clear, but slingshots are just very powerful as a starting weapon. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this. Please don't hesitate to leave any feedback for how you would like these videos to be structured. I'm definitely very open to that. And yeah, I love hearing from everyone in the comments. I respond to every comment. And yeah, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel. I really appreciate it. We're very close to 500 subscribers, and I would very much appreciate your help getting there before we start the trek to 1,000. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.